What is up, YouTube? And today we have a tier list for the game that is coming out on the 22nd of May. You guys may be watching this in the future when the game is already out, or you guys might be waiting like me for this game to release, and that is for Wuthering Waves. Now, it's a new game, pretty similar to something like Genshin Impact, but this game does seem to have a lot of the good qualities of Genshin and kind of took out the bad ones, so very excited for this game's release. And because of that, we are making a tier list today, or I guess I already made one. I'll be showing you guys for what characters you should be re-rolling for. Now, it's pretty clear cut to me. There's not a lot of characters that you can actually re-roll for. There's only 5, but one of them is at the top here. In the S tier, we have 2 of them in the A tier, and then also 2 in the B tier. And the remaining ones are always going to be available to you because they are free. And at the bottom here, we have 2 banners that are actually planned to release as limited banners, so you actually cannot re-roll for them. Before we actually talk about the tier list though, I'm actually on pridewin.gg right now, a pretty good source of information for not just Wuthering Waves, but a lot of games. And they actually have an in-depth guide, which I'll post in the description, that actually tells you how to re-roll. Basically, they're saying that the re-roll is not really worth it, and I do have to agree. Mostly it's because there's no guest login. You actually have to create a new account for every re-roll, and also because it takes, like they said, 40 minutes to finish the tutorial, and it's pretty hard to do, honestly. So if you guys don't have the mental capacity, I don't know if I'll reroll. I probably will. I don't really recommend it, but basically if you do want the best heroes or characters, then you definitely should do it, because of course you guys know in a lot of these games your starting character matters a lot. So basically all you have to do is log into the game. You know, they say suffer for 35 to 45 minutes through the tutorial and early story until you unlock Convene, which is basically the summoning system. And then you suffer even more as you're doing your pulls, and then make a new email and do it. So that's how you basically do it. There's like a guide to actually, you know, get through the tutorial very, very quickly. But basically you can see that they're not really recommending it. A lot of people don't recommend it. But if you do want to reroll and get the best characters, you can actually, you know, go for it. And these are the 5 characters available, right? You have Verna, Encore, Calcharo, Lingyang, and also Jianjin. Now, starting at the top of this list, we actually have a support unit, and that is going to be Verna. She's a Spectro support. She has very, very good healing. She has a very powerful attack buff for her team. And usually when supports are this strong, it's the go-to choice, because supports are pretty much always going to be good if you look at any other of these ARPGs. And while DPS units might be more fun to play and more shiny on the surface, you have to keep in mind that DPS or damage dealing units actually come and go pretty easily with power creep, while supports either just never fall out of the meta and are always good, or just take a lot longer to be power crept. So I think Verna is the clear-cut choice for new players. She will make your progression so much easier because of her healing, and the fact that you can literally pair her with just any damage dealer and you'll just be making them a lot better. So I think the top clear-cut choice for the S tier is going to be Verna, that you definitely want to reroll for. Now, if you guys don't really care about rerolling, you guys can actually go for some A tier or even B tier units, but I definitely recommend going for Verna if you actually have the time on your hands. Now, in the A tier, we have Calcharo. He is an Electro DPS. In the beta, which I briefly played, he was one of the strongest DPS units. Synergizes very well with Yinlin, who's actually this character down here, because, you know, they synergize very well in a mono Electro comp. As you guys know, a lot of these units will have, or all of these units will have different elements. And in a mono Electro comp, they synergize super, super well together. He has one of the highest damage potentials in the game, or at least he did in the beta. And I'm pretty sure it'll be the same in the released version of the game, especially because Yinlin does come out pretty quickly. I think it's after the first update. And when she does, you'll see Calcharo probably being like S tier. But for now, we're going to put him a little bit lower because, like I said, support units are always going to be super strong, while in the future, Calcharo might lose some value, but still a very solid choice, especially if you plan to save your pulls to get Yinlin to actually pair with him. And then also in the A tier, alongside Calcharo here, we actually have Jianjin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Jianjin, this girl here, basically a very, very high utility character. She is very bulky with a lot of damage reduction. She also going to be of the arrow element, which makes her, a lot more flexible because you can actually pair her with some other characters, especially if you're lacking some arrow element units. But besides that, like I said, a lot of utility, very bulky. But the thing is, she kind of feels a little bit clunky to play. in my experience. I think that she's a little bit slow and a little bit clunky, right? So you have to keep that in mind. Not a super powerful unit, I'd say, but she definitely is on the strong side. Very controversial, I'd say, because some people think she's really bad, some people think she's very good. So, you know, it's a pretty risky choice to go for, honestly, in a reroll, because there's a lot of differing opinions about her. But she is still good. She has a lot of utility, in my opinion. Next, we have the B tier characters. I would probably want to stay away from these two, but, you know, they're still decent, right? In regular tier lists, they would rank, you know, somewhere in the A tier most likely, because they are both strong damage dealers. So we have Encore. She is a fusion damage dealer. Not super OP, but just a solid damage dealer, which you'll notice when you play her. Then we have Ling Yang, similar to Encore, just a damage dealer. He is of the Glacio element. Also just, you know, a good unit, but nothing special. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this tier list. You know, I don't want to drag this on for too long. It's pretty simple, right? There's only 5 characters you can pull for. Just to summarize, when you're rerolling, you can go for Verena. She's super powerful. Best support in the game. Pair her with anything and she's going to be very strong. She'll make your units a lot stronger. In the A tier, we have one of the best damage dealers in Kelcharo that synergizes very well with Yinlin, who comes out pretty quickly after the release of the game, and Zhang Jin, a strong utility unit. And for the bottom of the bunch here for this reroll tier list, from the units that are available, you have Encore and Ling Yang, you know, fusion DPS and Glacier DPS, but after that, just nothing too special. They are strong, like I mentioned, especially compared to the free units, but they're not going to be better than the A tier or S tier units, in my opinion. That is pretty much it for this Wuthering Waves reroll tier list. Let me know in the comments down below what character you're going for, or if you already did the reroll and are watching this in the future, what character you did go for. And also make sure to hit that like button to see more Wuthering Waves content.